So that's why I split off some of these things, and it just makes for debugging logic to be a little bit easier. So the first one you'll use is the RGA create material from Excel. I'll click open. If you're in the Dynamo player, you just point the folder to it and click play, and it should rock and roll if you have all the presets set up for you. And then in the file, so it's important if something breaks from the Dynamo player, go ahead and open that Dynamo file and take a look at it, because I've made notes on kind of things that you'll need to make sure are set up. So we've already done the material containers preloaded. I've already made sure the shared parameters are there and mapped to the projects. In the future, once we figure out the API problems with putting generic models into legends, you'll need to make sure that the finished legend view is there. So that's been labeled as now future. Material tags loaded, and then obviously check that you have the duplicate me, do not remove me type. So those are the things that are going to most commonly break this thing. So I've tried to make it as simple as possible for you, but again, if something breaks, go ahead and look and check the notes. Now, anything in blue in these Dynamo files are going to be input paths. So really, I just say is input and is output for each one of these. This is hard-coded, so important thing to note, on your Excel sheets, you want to make sure that this sheet name isn't actually changed, right? So you want to make sure that that's okay. Let's see, are you guys trying to? No, that's Andres. So if you want to change the name, just let me know. We can turn it on to say that, bring it back up, Dynamo. There we go. We can change it so that this becomes an input in the Dynamo player. Right now it is. Probably should turn that off. So that way, if you wanted to have multiple different sheets that you're creating things from, you could then click this multiple times and then just change the sheet name for it. So it looks like I was thinking that way with
so
it.
If I had a different Excel file for every project?
Yeah, you could do one. So yeah, absolutely. So a lot of when you're looking at scales of doing this on multiple projects, you can set up a background server that says, and it really changes the kind of production workflow when we start programmatically looking at these things. So let's say I had 6 projects going on, and today I have all my materials assembled for all 6 of those projects. I could literally tell the computer on the batch server to say, go run this Dynamo file on every one of those projects, and then let me know when it's done. And as long as all these pieces work and are set up in those files, I literally don't have to open any one of those 6 files, and they just have materials.
Okay.
Concurrently to that, I could also be working with multiple Excel files of materials with different sheet names. As long as the formatting in Excel is the same, I could be putting multiple sets of Excel data of materials into a project. So let's say I
have to pull the file with the right name.
Yeah, so let's say we have like a campus project, and I'm pulling from project A, project B, and project C in the past. I grab those 3 Excel files, and I want all those materials created now in my Revit file. I can just say boom, 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 and it's done. So now some other things in here, for my purposes, because I know this is probably somebody's going to get in there and start tinkering a little bit, which is a good thing. But to come back and debug, I have some debug sets set up in here. So please don't modify anything in the red, just for my benefit and your benefit too. The headers area, so anything in orange you see is something that's not being used, but it's there for potential future items that are foreseeable. And now with the material piece itself, so a little bit about how this is working. So let me kind of backtrack a little bit here. We're going to walk you through the workflow. So what Dynamo is doing is it's picking up that file, it's reading the data from Excel, and then there's a little bit of cleaning up. So it's going to remove any duplicate items and then dropping items, so it removes that first header line. So if you remove the header lines on your own, and what I mean by the header lines is this first item, you might end up missing the first material in your list. So what it's doing is saying, in that list, remove that first header item. Headers are very important to have, so I just hard code that and just tell people don't delete that header. And then it starts to pull that data out. So what I have to do is I have to split that data row by row into individual containers, color codes, and then it basically puts that in. So transparency is there. And what's nice about Dynamo and its development over the years is a lot of this I don't have to code anymore. It's just knowing where to go and which ones work. So you'll see that I've provided packages for you. So people are out there developing new ways of doing things that are both faster and things that maybe the Revit API isn't already doing for us out of the box. And it kind of speeds up development for just open source, so we can grow as a community versus it all being singular to people. So this is from the Orchid package. In the past, we used to have to actually Python this code out to do this, so the Orchid package actually handles all this for us. It's great. So this is all the graphics items you can set. Right now we're setting the material, the render appearance, the transparency, background, foreground, all those kind of pieces and parts. So I've taken the Excel file, split everything out into mini little chunks, and then I reassemble that into what is the material. And then once I have the material, I go in, and I got to backtrack here. It goes in and says, go find that material container object and go create now 50 types based upon what materials are in my file. And that should be all I need to do. And I can go ahead and click on Run, and you'll see the auto magic happen here. And this one's pretty quick. I tested it a few times.
So it's just going to go in and pre-populate all the materials from the Excel file into the model, and then all we'd have to do is create the family and apply the material.
Correct.
Cool.
No, you don't even have... Well, go ahead.
Yeah, where does...
Moving beyond there. Okay, so it processed in the background. It was a little slower because I got a lot of things open all of a sudden. Revit's single-threaded, especially for this type process, so it's got to pull that core. But now you should see that I have every single one of those materials are now assigned to an object and also made a family type on it. So go ahead and place that on first plane. So
it
now
already made it.
Yep, makes the object, assigns the material to it, and then names a family type based upon it. And this is so we can start setting up that legend idea, right? So now I have a container that's named after the type mark, and then that also then corresponds with the material itself, which now the materials are pumped into the material library in the Revit file. I wish